Here's a question that's going to bother you a little. What if you're doing everything right, tracking your income, keeping a budget, spending less than you earn, and you're still somehow broke at the end of every month? Not because you're irresponsible, not because you don't care, but because something invisible is draining your bank account, something your budget spreadsheet can't even see. This happens to millions of people. And the scary part, most of them never figure out why. We all picture budgeting as this simple math problem. Money comes in, money goes out. Keep the numbers balanced and you're fine. But here's what nobody tells you. The human brain was not designed for modern money. We were built to hunt, gather, and survive seasons, not to manage subscriptions, resist one-click checkouts on Amazon, or figure out how much to put into a 401k at 25. So what happens? Our psychology works against us, and it does it quietly, invisibly, every single day. Today, we're going to expose 5 of the most invisible budgeting mistakes that are draining your bank account right now. Not the obvious ones like buying too many coffees or eating out too often. No, these are the ones hiding in your blind spots. The ones that feel completely harmless until you add them all up and realize they've been quietly robbing you for years. Hi, I'm Adrian. On this channel, we explore the psychology behind money and the habits that shape our financial lives. If that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing. And if you enjoy today's video, I'd really appreciate a like. Let's get into it. The first mistake, the "it's just small" lie. Picture this. You stop at a Wawa or a 7-Eleven and grab a bottle of water. $3. No big deal. Then you swing by Starbucks for a quick coffee on the way to work. $6. You download an app that's only 99 cents a month. You toss something extra into your Target cart at checkout. You pay for parking downtown, just this once. None of these feel like financial decisions. They feel like life. Tiny, forgettable moments that your brain doesn't even flag as spending. But here's the problem. Your brain has something called an attention threshold. It only pays real attention to things that feel significant. And anything below that threshold, small amounts, quick purchases, things you buy without thinking, basically gets invisible. Your brain lets them through the gate without logging them. Researchers call this microtransaction blindness, and it's one of the most expensive habits people have without realizing it. Let's do the math. Say you have 20 of these invisible purchases every week. Averaging just $4 each, that's $80 a week, $320 a month, nearly $4,000 a year, quietly disappearing into purchases you can't even name by Thursday. The mistake isn't that you spent the money. The mistake is that you never saw it leave. What you should do instead is create what's called a friction category in your budget. Label it something like invisible spending and give it a set weekly limit. When you buy something small and forgettable, it goes in there. Once it's named, your brain starts seeing it, and that alone is enough to slow it down. The second mistake, the mental wallet trick your brain plays on you. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You get your IRS tax refund every spring, or a birthday gift in cash, or a year-end bonus from work, and somehow that money feels different from your regular paycheck. It feels easier to spend, almost like it's not really real money. You'd never spend $300 of your regular take-home pay on a random shopping spree, but do the same thing with a tax refund? Easy. It's extra money anyway. This is called mental accounting, and it's one of the most well-documented tricks your brain plays on you when it comes to money. Here's what's actually happening. Your brain doesn't see money as one unified resource. Instead, it sorts money into invisible mental wallets based on where it came from. Salary goes in the serious money wallet. Bonuses, refunds, gifts, and windfalls go in the fun money wallet. The problem is, a dollar is a dollar, no matter where it came from. That $300 tax refund could have gone straight into a Roth IRA and become $500 in a few years. But your brain labeled it as bonus money and spent it on things you barely remember. This also works in reverse. People will drive 20 minutes out of their way to save $5 at Costco and then spend an extra $50 at the same store buying things they didn't need. The $5 saving felt significant. The extra $50 happened in the convenience mental wallet, so it barely registered. The fix? Force yourself to ask one question every time you get extra money. What would I do with this if it came from my paycheck? If the answer is save or invest it, then that's exactly what you should do with the bonus too. The third mistake, the subscription you forgot you had. Quick, without checking your bank statement, how many subscriptions are you paying for right now? Take a guess. Most people say around 3 or 4. The actual number, when they check, is usually between 8 and 15. Sometimes more. Netflix, your iCloud storage, a bunch of app subscriptions you forgot you signed up for, a gym membership that survived the pandemic and somehow still survives, that New York Times subscription you grabbed during a free trial and completely forgot about, the meditation app, the language learning app you used twice, the software you needed for one project 18 months ago. This is subscription amnesia, and it's one of the sneakiest budget drains in the modern world. Companies know this. That's exactly why subscription pricing became so popular. A $12 monthly fee feels painless in a way that a $144 annual fee never would. Your brain doesn't feel it leaving. It just quietly disappears from your account, month after month, for things you stopped using long ago. Studies have shown that the average person underestimates their monthly subscription spending by nearly 40%, meaning if you think you're spending $50 a month on subscriptions, the real number is probably closer to 70 or 80. Here's your action step. Go through your bank or card statement for the last 3 months. Highlight every recurring charge, then go through them one by one and ask yourself one honest question. Did I use this in the last 30 days? If the answer is no, cancel it today. Not this weekend, today. Then set a calendar reminder every 6 months to do this again, because subscription amnesia will keep coming back. The fourth mistake, the pain vanisher, and why cards are making you spend more. When you pay for something with physical cash, something interesting happens in your brain. Researchers who study spending behavior have found that paying with cash actually activates the same area of the brain associated with physical pain. It genuinely hurts a little, and that pain acts as a natural brake on your spending. Now here's where it gets interesting. When you pay by card, or worse, by Apple Pay, Google Pay, or tapping your phone at the register, that pain signal almost completely disappears. Your brain doesn't feel the money leaving. The transaction is so fast, so frictionless, so invisible, that your mind barely registers it as a real financial event. This is called the pain of paying effect, and it's been studied extensively by behavioral economists. The result is clear. People consistently spend more when paying digitally than when paying with cash. In some studies, the difference is between 15 and 30% more. Think about that. The simple act of switching from cash to card might be quietly adding 15 to 30% to your monthly spending, just because the discomfort of paying has been engineered away. Now, cards have real benefits. Security, rewards, convenience. You don't have to go full cash only. But there's a powerful technique you can use. For categories where you tend to overspend, restaurants, entertainment, clothing, try switching to a set cash amount for that category each month. When the cash is gone, it's gone. That physical reality is something your brain takes far more seriously than a number going down on a screen. The fifth mistake, the future self discount. Here's the most invisible one, and honestly, the most dangerous. Somewhere in your brain lives a character we could call future you. The version of yourself who will deal with the savings you didn't make, who will handle the credit card balance you ran up, who will start investing seriously next month, next year, after the next raise. And the strange thing is, your brain treats future you almost like a completely different person. Studies in neuroscience have shown that when people think about themselves in the future, the same part of the brain activates as when they think about a stranger. You genuinely feel less connected to your future self than to who you are right now. This is called temporal discounting, or more simply, the future self discount, and it means you are psychologically wired to value what you want today more than what your future self will need. Future me can handle it is one of the most expensive sentences a person can think of. This is why someone will happily spend $200 on something this weekend, while knowing they're not even hitting their employer's 401k match at work. It doesn't feel irresponsible at the moment. Future you seems like they'll figure it out somehow. The antidote to this is getting specific. Vague future goals don't motivate real action, but concrete ones do. Instead of, I should save more, try, I am bumping my 401k contribution up by 2% for the version of me who is 65 and wants to choose whether or not to work. Name the amount. Name the date. Name the reason. The more real you make your future self feel, the harder it becomes to steal from them. Here's the insight that ties all 5 of these together. Budgeting is not really about numbers. It's about attention. Most budgets fail not because people don't know math, but because our brains are constantly working to conserve mental energy. Your brain doesn't want to think carefully about every single financial decision you make in a day. That would be exhausting, so it relies on shortcuts, habits, mental categories, emotional signals, and those shortcuts are what businesses, subscription services, and payment systems are engineered to exploit. The invisible budgeting mistakes don't drain your account because you're bad with money, they drain your account because you're human. And humans were never designed to manage hundreds of micro decisions about money every single week. The good news is that once you see these patterns, you can't unsee them. Awareness alone starts to change behavior, because the moment you recognize the mental wallet, the subscription amnesia, the future self-discount, you have a choice you didn't have before. So here's what you actually do with all of this. Run a financial blind spot audit this week. 1. Go through every transaction from the last 30 days and categorize anything under $20 that felt forgettable. Add it up, you'll be surprised. 2. List every recurring charge. Google your bank statement if you need to. Cancel anything you haven't used this month. 3. Pick one spending category where you tend to overspend and switch to cash for 30 days. Notice how different it feels. 4. Write down one specific thing your future self needs, an amount, a timeline, a reason. Then automate a transfer toward it before you can spend it. You don't have to overhaul your entire financial life in a weekend. You just have to start seeing what was previously invisible. Someone once said that the most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind about money. And I think they were right, because the biggest financial mistakes aren't dramatic. They're not gambling your life savings or making a catastrophic investment. They're quiet, invisible. They happen in the seconds between a craving and a tap, in the comfort of future me will handle it, in the harmless feeling of a $3 purchase you'll forget by dinner. Wealth isn't just about how much you earn. It's about how much your attention costs you when you're not paying it. So the next time money leaves your account, ask yourself, did I actually decide to spend that? Or did it just happen? That one question, asked consistently, is worth more than any budgeting app on the market. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone whose bank account deserves better. And if you want to go deeper into the psychology of money and why smart people make financially irrational decisions, hit subscribe. We go deeper every week. See you in the next one.